Astrology. This is the birth chart for Nicolas Cage, and he's a Sagittarius rising, Sun in Capricorn, and a Moon in Libra. And I'm just looking at this chart for the first time, and he also has a South Node in Capricorn. And I have a very similar chart to him, as my Mercury is near the rising in Capricorn as well, retrograde. My Sun is in Capricorn. My South Node is in Capricorn. And I have a ninth house Pluto, just like he does here. As well as a couple planets with the Venus in Aquarius. So I really like Nicolas Cage, probably because he's similar to me. But I heard him say some things on an interview recently, which I'll probably make a short out of, and really makes me think of this Mercury in the first house. Very intelligent guy. Mercury in the first is an excellent place to have Mercury. It really likes to be there in the first house. Puts a person at the helm, so to speak. If check out my video on the joys of the planets, you'll see I have Mercury in the first house in that chart, showing that it is considered the joy of Mercury to be in the first house. Now he has the Moon here in the 10th, and we consider the 10th house. We see that he has all that Capricorn, but then to throw the Moon in the 10th, this is where the difference is between his chart and mine, because I don't have anything in the 10th house, and I think having the Moon there in the 10th is a strong position for the Moon to really give him success, or emphasis. At least I don't like use the word success, but emphasis in the public sphere, in the outer world, that he's going to be emotionally invested in his status, in being seen, his career. And it's not really a fault. I don't mean to say that as if it's a fault of his. It's just the way it is. And so having that Moon there, and it's in Libra in the Gemini decan, we think of him being an actor and playing all these different roles, and how well he's able to shift from role to role. He's one of the best actors of all time, for sure. And speaking of acting, we can look more at this. We can look at his Neptune. His Neptune here in the 11th, and is at 17 degrees, making almost an exact sextile 60-degree angle to the Sun. And having the Sun in the first as well is a great place for the Sun. Any planet in the first, really. And then he has the South Node there. South Node at 11 degrees. So we can see it's really all that is really connected to this Neptune here in the 11th. Neptune I'm looking at as being indicating of performance and artistry, acting. So there's really an opportunity there between Neptune, but really an opportunity for his Sun, which is a very vital part of his self. And then also we can look at the South Node there in Capricorn. The ruler of the South Node is Saturn. And Saturn is conjunct Venus in the second in the house of money. So we can see that this opportunity that's connected to Neptune is also connected to money, that there's money involved there. And there's big money involved with it being in the second house with his work. It's in the sign of Aquarius. I haven't investigated this too much, but you could say this is the sign of wealth as well, because you think of goals and objectives and trying to reach those goals and objectives. And also with that Neptune, the 11th, you would see that also with this interview that I saw, you can see that he's probably a guy who's been disillusioned by all of this. And he really sees, as he gets older and moves towards the end of his life, he'll see that it's really just, as far as the money and the success that comes along with what he does, he'll see the trivialness of it. He'll see it for what it really is, and I guess that's what I mean by being disillusioned by it all, which is not a bad thing. And I think in this case, um, you'll see a guy who we can look at more in the chart here, who's maybe been humbled, who's a humble guy because of this. Also, the idea of um, well, I'll come back to that. But we see this Mars here is involved as well in the first house. So it really has this drive and energy um, to accomplish all of this with Mars. Mars is involved in that as well. Everything I just said, that's really giving energy and um, a lot of energy and drive to all of that. His Jupiter on an angle. He's got a lot of planets on the angle. Jupiter on the angle, everything I mentioned before. Here, Jupiter in the fourth house in Aries, and it's in the Leo decan. So really, that combination of Jupiter and Mars, adding more of that drive to this Jupiter. And as I said, this whole idea of being disillusioned and this guy could be a little bit of a philosopher because he does have Jupiter in a fire sign, and it's in the fourth house, so it's really making that Jupiter very strong. And it's also making a square to that Mercury that I said about how intelligent he is. So it's a really good combination there. Even though it's a square, this guy, I would assume, has a very balanced brain, really good balance between the right and the left brain. And we can see that Jupiter is also squaring the nodes, the north nodes in Cancer in the 7th, and everything really comes back to him. We see that there's planets on the south node. He may give that look of being depressed and very somber, and that would be because the planets are on the south node. Um, he's very much going into the past and clearing things up, resolving things within his self, and that's where I see more of the humility, um, the introspection that he may have, the introspective look that he gives. Also, these planets here in air and Aquarius that can be a very somber and um, thinking type person. It reminds me of a person just sits there, and just looking out into the distance. Just you can tell he's deep in thought. See his part of fortune here in the third in Pisces. Obviously, Pisces being ruled by Neptune, part of fortune, money being there. That's how he makes his money through this. All the things I said they were associated with Neptune. More considering him being a philosopher and someone who's deep in thought. With that, obviously with that Pluto in the 9th, someone who's a searcher for truth, who's interested in comparative religion, traveling. His moon is also squaring the nodes. So we see also this need to involve the north node as well. So very much a need to balance these two nodes out in this life between his fourth house and his 10th house and that Jupiter and moon. This is I think this is something good for the ego as well. You won't see this guy have a massive ego because he's really balancing all. You could even just say is that even if we say that he's not doing anything, he just has this. I think it just shows a person who has balance between those nodes, balance between the different sections of the chart. The eastern, we see the eastern and the western, the southern and the northern part of the chart. We just see these aspects really balancing everything out, or a need to balance things out, which he would have leaned into in this life. See, he's got Uranus making a trine to that Mercury as well. So if we want to see some indication that some of the things I'm saying are true, we're going to look at that Jupiter, that Jupiter contact with Jupiter and Mercury. We're going to see this Uranus, Mercury, where Uranus is really um, giving more emphasis to that everything I said about that Mercury, because Uranus can be considered genius, a progressive mind, an open mind, can quicken the mind. It's an advanced uh, person who's of advanced thinking, or just you could just say open mind in general. If he leaned into that open mind, he would discover certain things. And even that Mercury is on this; it's on the south node, and it's retrograde, indicating there's redoing here. There's some kind of redoing. It's on the south node, emphasizing that he would have spent a lot of time in the past, deep in thought, using his mind, communicating. Acting. I think acting is a form, an art form that can really help you discover a lot of things about yourself, discover a lot of things about humanity, uh, this life on Earth in general. I'm not saying everyone who becomes an actor will do that, but I think there's an opportunity there for anyone who does some acting uh, to discover those things. Even the North Node, we see the ruler is the moon in the 10th. So this idea that uh, if we want to say anything bad about the North Node, the fact that there's so many planets in the South Node and the North Node's in the 7th, and we think this could be a selfish guy with the planets in the first. If we wanted to say anything bad about that, we see the ruler though is the moon. It's in the 10th, and the position in Libra and the ruler in the 10th. That this is how this guy, through his career, this is how he relates to people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It's a way you can often use your career to relate to people, especially the world we live in today. Sometimes you have to go to work in order to make friends. And even the ruler of his chart, I'm going to do a video or a mini astrology course I'm going to drop today probably on the ruler of the ascendant, and the ruler here is Jupiter. So it's uh, excellent an excellent ascendant to have, Sagittarius, and for everything that I mentioned. And it's also in the 4th, so it's a very strong ruler of the chart there. Jupiter, it's in a very strong position. So I'll leave it there for now. This is a little mini reading for Nicolas Cage, and I hope you enjoy this and have a great day.